what are you finding that the AgeLab is discovering about employment plans for boomers in retirement, right? Because it's maybe not as much I'm retired and I'm done, is maybe there's another way to get purpose here. And then the follow-up to that is, how is technology then impacting those aspects for retirees? Because Barbara was commenting on how important LinkedIn is now.
Yeah.
Is that the majority of employers are in LinkedIn, and that's how they're getting talent. So where you have is people who are aging and boomers that are not using that platform, you're having a disconnect here. So I wanted to talk to you about that, and especially where you have rural aspects of there too.
Yeah. So look, the retirement picture is it in the mind of Joe Coughlin and the researchers at the lab. Retirement is a story, right? And it was a story that was written largely in the 1930s, 1940s, and 1950s, right? With the development of social safety nets and the development of kind of our golden years, if you will, the recreational type retirement, where we'd all move to Sun City, Arizona, or, we'd all live next to one another and swim in the pool and play shuffleboard all day long and golf. And look, all those things may be a component, but here's the problem, as I mentioned earlier. That was not designed to last 20 or 25 years, right? Yeah. So now as we look at it, here's what we've been seeing in terms of employment, is that there is a desire on behalf of many Americans to work longer. Now, when I say work longer, I don't mean working the same way we worked for the first 20, 30, 40 years of our careers. It may be working in that area, but working differently. Think about a small business owner. At some point, they probably don't want to work 60 hours a week anymore. Maybe they want to work 20 and just work on the things that they really enjoy the most, which, by the way, oftentimes may be of most value to the business. Maybe it's maintaining certain expertise or relationships, so on and so forth. And as I mentioned earlier, a lot of people get enjoyment and fulfillment from the work that they do. So one of the things that we see changing, in fact, we've done quite a deep dive on this, is that, the two fastest growing segments of our population in terms of the labor force are Americans age 65 to 74 growing at 4.5% a year, and Americans age 75 plus growing at 6.5% a year. By far, they outshoot every other age group, right? And again, some of the changes that are coming, what MIT would say about this current crisis that we're involved in, the COVID-19 crisis, is that it's not really changing things, but it's drastically accelerating them, right? So the use of technology, you mentioned LinkedIn, for example, but think about it. For many people, they may now be able to do substantial amounts of their profession from anywhere in the United States that they want to, through through a Zoom platform or Skype or WebEx. I'll tell you, we've had WebEx available to us as presenters, my team and I, for the last, 5 years. I couldn't even tell you when it came on the scene. We had such limited exposure to it. And then in mid-March, it's all we're doing, right? And now what people are saying is, hey, there's some really good aspects. Look, I hope sometime to come to Maine and hang out with all of you guys. But in the meantime, there's some real positive aspects to be able to communicate with others the way we're doing it right now. So people are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, on this retirement thing, maybe if I wanted to cut back in terms of travel or hours in the office, maybe 3 days a week, I could telecommute. I could participate that way. We're in the early stages of some research about how the COVID-19 crisis is going to change societal views on some things. And we think that it's going to shift retirement in terms of enabling people to say, yeah, I may want to continue with this for quite some time, but I'm going to do it differently. The other thing that we see is that even if they don't remain in their own profession, when we ask people, what do you envision yourself doing after your primary career? We don't want to use the R word to influence what they would say, right? But one of the top answers that always comes back is work. But as I said, not always the same work maybe it's working for a cause I believe in, aka volunteering, using the skills and relationship communication skills that I built up over a career, using them to benefit really a purpose that I wholeheartedly believe in. That brings satisfaction as we age, right? It's being able to allocate the resources that I can bring to make a difference to something that means a lot to me. So yeah, you mentioned it. The other thing that's changing is if we want to stay in our professions or we want to stay attached, we're going to have to stay educated. The other thing the Age Lab tells us is that technology is changing education like you wouldn't believe. In fact, MIT itself participates on a platform called edX, where you can now monitor courses that are being taught at Harvard and MIT. You can even earn or begin to earn your graduate level study in supply chain management all online through edX in a program at MIT called the MicroMasters program. I mean, that's how, and look, it makes it available more widely and at a lower price point, right? And so this is how things are starting to shake up, but it's not just ongoing education. Let me ask you guys a question. When was the last time you bought a product that did not come with an owner's manual, right? If you didn't, you're usually directed where? To their website,
That's
right?
right. Yep.
Or you're told to watch YouTube where you see a 13-year-old playing with that product in their parents' basement, giving you 5 ways to use that thing you never would have dreamed of. Well, here's the point, folks, is that if we're not aware of the technologies that are now housing information and knowledge, if we don't know what podcasts are, if we don't know how to search for this information, how to maybe enroll in an online class in something that interests me, whatever that interest may be. And the other side effect of that is if I enroll in a class or some kind of learning or get involved in a discussion, I get to meet people who have the same interests that I do. And so I can expand my social network that way. So that your first point is very valid. It's changing retirement. We see a desire to work longer. Actually, we believe that what employers are going to see is that we're in kind of a midst of a brain drain today in the United States. As the boomers are exiting the workforce, the knowledge and the experience that they are taking with them is not easily replaced immediately by the Gen Xers and the millennials. And so maybe allowing older workers who want to stay on in a mentor capacity to kind of teach things, the little things you wouldn't pick up through anything other than experience, we think there's going to be additional opportunities, and technology may connect us to those.